Hi guys! So a lot of you seem to enjoy me making Numberblock number 1 out of resin, which is a type of plastic. So now I'm going to try and make Numberblock number 2. So I'll show you the tools that I'm using today. I'm going to use some of these disposable cups. Bright rainbow colours. I'm going to use this to do my measuring. Because the resin that I'm using, I have to do it at a ratio. And that means that I need to do 1 part, 1 liquid and 3 parts the other liquid. But every type of resin, if you do decide to do this yourself, is different, so you do have to check the instructions. So just make sure my cubes that I use are clear, and they're quite deep, so I do have to split it up into a few different sessions, and I just keep adding that on, pouring it on each time. And with my gloves on first, because you've got to protect your hands from resin because it is a type of plastic. And I've got some sticks here as well, which I use as my mixing sticks. My disposable gloves on, and then this is the resin I'm using, which I bought from eBay. And this stuff, the paper's gone funny because you have to soak it in hot water to get it nice and runny. I can feel it's nice and runny because usually it's quite thick, and when it's thick it's harder to work with. And this is part B, which is the one that we add less, whoops a daisy, less of. So excuse me, just to get organized, I'm going to have a look at my collection of colors here. I'm going to buy some powder pigments so we can keep doing more crafting stuff, but for now I just have a mixture of things in here, like liquids and all that kind of stuff. I hope I have an orange. I have red and I have yellow, so I can definitely make an orange up. Yeah, I can make an orange. I'm sure I'll be fine, because of course our number block 2 is orange. So using this, using the red, the cherry red and lemon yellow, I reckon I can make, hopefully I can make the right shade of orange. But I have to be careful to try and keep it even this time so the colour looks more even. So I've got 2, these measure exactly the same. Oh, look at that, there's actually some kind of measurement on there. This is 2C, 2CL, but what I'm going to do, because these are deep and I'm doing 2 of them, so I'm going to have to make quite a lot up. I've also got a big plastic cup for mixing the 2 together. So what was it? It's 3 to 1. So that means for number B, actually we should always start with A, the thick stuff. So we're going to do 3 cupfuls of these. If you're ready. 1. And then pour that into the large cup. Oops. 1, 2. You do need quite a lot of resin to make these cubes because they're big. 3. Oops a daisy. And it's always best to mix them in smaller quantities than one big massive lot altogether. That's why we're going to split this up. And then, oh, do you know what? I'm going to use a different colour cup so I don't get confused with what's what. And then I'm going to use pink. These cups have got cracks in them, that's rubbish. And this is just 1 part of this, remember. So I'm going to mix this now with my spatula. And the key with this is a few things to remember. If you want to mix it so that you don't get too many bubbles, I'll show you what it looks like. It's quite easy to get bubbles. And the other thing is you're supposed to mix it for around 3 minutes to make sure it's really, really well mixed. I'll just keep mixing. Actually, whilst I'm here, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start mixing up my colours. So I'm going to count now. If I do yellow, I'm going to do, how many drops shall I do? Let's do 4 drops. 1, 2, 4. 4 drops of yellow. And then we're going to do 2 drops of red. And we'll see where that leaves us. 1, 2. Give that a mix. It's looking orange, but I want more colour there, so I'm going to, and also if it's mixing, the chemicals are reacting, they should start to feel hot, which it is, it's feeling quite warm. I'm going to do another 4 drops actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 8 we did all together, and another 2 of the red. 1, 2. And let's mix them together. I'm quite liking the colour of that, but I'm going to keep mixing to make sure the 2 parts are really well mixed together. And then when I feel like that's mixed well enough, I'm going to pour in half of the mixture into there. I wonder if I've got enough to do the other half. Not really. So I'm halfway on this cube and I'm about a third. So I'm going to mix up a tiny bit more to top up this one, and hopefully that will be okay. So what I will do, what colour did I think I put B in this one, right? So if I do, let me think about this. I need to do 1 to 3. So if I do 1.5 of this and then half of the other, I think that makes sense. So if I do 1, oops, and half of this, of mixture A, and then I can do half of mixture B. Oops, a daisy. Hopefully that's enough. Now the colour, we're going to have to eyeball this a little bit because it's not the same ratio as before. Oh, my lid. Alright. Let's see how this looks anyway. It's all sticking to my hands. This is why you must wear gloves. Okay. So let's start mixing this up and see how this looks. Now the thing is, because it's not set yet, it's not yet set, it's not a bad thing because it means we can merge the colours together a little bit, and we don't have to, because that's quite dark, we can probably mix them up a bit in here like that so that they even out, because it's still very, very, oh, I didn't mix it long enough, did I? So I'll mix it whilst it's in there, and just to even it out I'll probably take a little bit out here. Not mess the colours up too much. Well, we shall see, right? When it's set, we shall see. I'm gonna this will seem crazy, but I'm going to scoop a little bit of this out, so I'm going to mix it in with this. I do want the colours to even up a little bit. I think I'm going to need a second pair of gloves for my next project, and let's give this a stir. Make sure it's getting nice and warm because it means the chemical reaction is happening. Like this. So if they're just about even, I can live with that. I think I can. Yeah, so they're about halfway, and then if we give this, say, 12 hours, or maybe a little bit more because it's so thick, to to set, we can go back and top them up later. Okay. And what is happening is you'll get air bubbles on the surface, and we can just pop that using a lighter in a moment. So I'm going to set this to one side, and it will be left for quite a long time, maybe even as long as a day. But we want it when it's starting to set, but not solid, but not too jelly-like either. That's when we pour in our last layer, and hopefully it will blend in. And then we can get it out, we can decorate it and glue it together like we did for Numberblock 1. So, hey, that's part 1. So now I'm just using a lit match across the top, and when I wave it across, what it does is supposed to pop any bubbles that are there at the surface. You can do it this way, or you could use a lighter, or you could use something hot like a hair dryer or something like that. Anything like that that is hot and has heat will bring out the bubbles usually. And finally it's set. Let's get these cubes pushed out now. Okay, these are not perfect. You see what's happened here? Because I did it in 2 pours, the colours are slightly different, and that's the difficulty if you're doing it over a few days to get the colour match exactly right. And that's why one bit looks a little bit of a darker orange than the other side. But we're going to stick them together anyway, and we're going to just make the best out of it. And here I'm just deciding which way to stick it, just to make it a little less obvious. Next I'm going to use some glue, and this one is an epoxy glue. Epoxy resin is a very strong glue, and you do need parental help if you are making this, because this stuff is strong and it actually dries and becomes plastic when it sets, which is why it's so strong. And the key to this is to squeeze out the 2 parts together and mix it, and then you have a set amount of time to use the glue, because after that what's going to happen is it's just going to set and you'll run out of time, so you have to do it quickly. But you see what happened here is one side of the nozzle was blocked, so I'm trying to unblock it quickly so I can get the other side out, because it doesn't work if you don't mix the 2 parts together, and you have to be quite even. It has to be 50-50 of both liquids. So I'm just here, I'm trying to unblock it, and I'm trying to get the other side out before the first side gets all funny. Finally, I'm just using a piece of scrap cardboard here so it doesn't ruin anything. And I'm going to use a little wooden stick, and I'm going to start mixing it together. Make sure you mix it as evenly as possible so that the chemicals start to work and it starts to hopefully set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape it up, and I'm going to stick it onto the top of one of the cubes. I'm going to stick them together, and I'm hoping that they are going to hold. I'm just spreading it as evenly as I can. And remember, these bricks are really slippy. They're quite shiny, so I hope that it will hold it. You might have to hold it into place for a while whilst the glue sets, otherwise it won't stay in place. Now you can see it's slipping and it's sliding a bit, so I'm holding it and just leaving it there like this, and eventually after about a day it's set really nice and hard, and it doesn't look too bad overall. And now I've decided to use Posca paint pens to draw on the features of the number cube here, because I think the acrylic paint will be too hard to handle. So I'm just going to slowly start building up the layers and doing the glasses first. And I'm just drawing on some little arms here. I don't know why, I just thought it'd be cute to do that. Now I'm going to use the white pen, which wasn't working properly, so I had to press it a few times to get it through as I start working on the eyes of number 2. And finally, after a few layers, the eyes are as good as it will probably get, and I'm just topping up the lips here. A good tip is to let the Posca paint pen dry properly before you add more colours onto it. Now the black Posca paint pen wasn't settling on top of the white, so I'm just going to use a black marker to draw on some eyes. I can go over this again later on with some Sharpie and some different markers to try, but for now this was what worked for the video. So we have finished number block 2, and it looks a bit like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this crafting video, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye.